Good morning, sir.
It's morning, it's cold, and we're off to see the wizard of Paul.
There you go.
Be alright, just got to get this crap in the van.
Let's have a quick look at the crap you're talking
So
about.
I've got a bike ramp because we've got to pick up Mikey 600, you know, because like I've got nothing better to do with my life.
Yeah.
Josh's front forks, which is why we're going up, so we're going to rebuild them today with KTech internals. And GoPro stuff, because we're tubers now, mate, we're tubers. Tubers. I don't know what that means, but
Well,
it basically means I put myself up there and get abused by people who think they can do it better.
we better get on it, mate.
We shall. I'll jump my tea, we'll go.
So shall we take the Gen 2? Shall we take the 355? Maybe the Gen 1? RS3? RS6. Nope. We're in the van. Dude, we're motoring.
I'm not speeding.
I'm not going to show the speedo.
It's fine, it says 62.
It's fine anyway, because we're in the van.
Yeah, vans don't speed, mate.
No.
She's good girl.
So we're headed up to, is it KTech?
PCR. So we're going to see Paul to sort Josh's suspension and take the piss.
Sounds good to me.
So a day of fun.
And a nice sandwich by the sounds of it.
Yeah, they got a good sandwich shop under there, so.
Well, it's worth it just for that.
Yeah, we just go for some food.
Happy days.
We made it.
We've arrived.
We're not dead. So we're at.
PCR Performance.
Let's wander inside and have a look and see what goodies he's got.
Cool, let's go.
So, while Alex is coming up, this, because we haven't got to build this, KTech, so this is what's on my BMW. So this, you can get it comes in a little bag, mate.
Nice.
This is the rear, because of course we just changed this as a complete unit. So the spring's been spec'd already, so it comes built up with spring, and I'll tell you what size that is now. If I can get the bag undone, Davey, the pressures. These are trick. There we go.
Wow.
So that is it. Height adjustable at the bottom. So that's how we adjust. That's how we can adjust the height without changing the preload. Then you've got hydraulic preload adjuster. So you put a socket and a spinner on there, and then that winds your starting length for the spring. So that affects the preload of the spring. So he's on a 90, and then I've got a 95 at work if Josh needs to go up. Then clickers then as well. So they're thumb wheel clickers, so they're much easier to deal with. Rose jointed top and bottom. Complete unit, mate. Bolt it out, bolt it in. So this is the DDS Pro. So DDS is direct damping system, and then Paul's walking past taking a Mick. So yeah, PCR KTech dealers, Olin dealers, so everything I've ever had has come from Paul. So yeah, literally bolt that in, job done. And that gives you all the adjustability then you need. And then if we open up, you get some lovely stickers and a user manual. So the shock length is 318mm, and you can go plus or minus 3mm on the adjuster, so that's preset. The shock stroke is 62mm. The spring rate comes standard as a 90, so that's 90 newtons. And then you can obviously come up or down the spring rate depending on what feel you want. The spring preload is 12mm, so it's adjustable, and it's 3mm back out or 7mm on. So at the minute, where the preload is set, gives you some adjustability on and gives you some adjustability off. Then starting point is 12 clicks out on a rebound, which is the natural coloured valve. And they're all the same, all KTech stuff there. Natural is rebound, black is compression. So 12 clicks from fully in, so we go, if we count in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we always go from in. So first complete click is, oh bloody hell, there. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So damp in is always clicks from fully in, so clicks out, and preload is turns from fully off, so it turns on. And that's it. So
there
that's the starting point. So we literally bolt that in the bike, rear end's done. So we'll put new bearings into all the linkages, new bolts, and that's it. That's where we start. And because then I've raced an R1 and Josh has raced an R1 before, we know where they need to be. Obviously, they run a championship winning Superbike team anyway, so if you ever need any help, you just ring Paul and go, oh, it's doing this, what do I need? But then that talks you through it. Oh, and it's got a bypass control as well, so it's got a bypass valve that takes it around the main damping valve. So the only time you really use that is when you take it all the way off is in the wet, just to speed the shock up. So what DDS is, and then how to adjust everything then. So compression damping, where the rebound damping is, what the bypass is, how to do spring preload, how to adjust the shock length. Obviously then some do's and don'ts and how you fit it. Some notes. Job's a good one. That is it, mate.
Happy days.
Yeah, proper trick. Proper trick. So that's what's on my BMW. That's what was on my R1 before. So the shock is easy side. That you can do at home. You just literally buy it, bolt it in. Where it gets more difficult is when you then have a front end kit where you need to strip the forks. So something like that. So you have to pull them apart. And then to pull them apart and make them work, you then need, because of course they're pressurized and gas filled, you then need that machine. So unless you're a KTech dealer and have one of these, so you'd obviously plumb all the shock up, put everything back together, or put the dampers back together. You need it to build the shock anyway. That's how you pressure fill it, or pressure fill the cartridges. So you need some special kit.
So we're in the right place.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah. Apart from the abuse Paul gives me, you know, because he's a nice guy like that, you are in the right place. I don't think he treats all customers like that, just me. So it's fine. So that is a shock. If I can get the box shut back up again. Yeah. So I mean, the good thing is obviously, all right, he runs a race team now, but Paul raced at a really high level, so that helps. There it is. You know, he knows what people want.
Yeah.
Because he wanted it once himself. And then this, people being shy as it walk past. And then this is a front fork kit then, so this is what we're going to put in Josh's front forks. So I won't open it. I'll let Alex do that. Complete damping system. So one will be rebound and one will be compression. So the legs do them separately. One's a compression leg, one's a rebound leg. And then both do preload. So they've probably got 9s and a halves. Let's have a look. Oh, the springs ain't there. So springs are in a different box. So we'll find out what springs are going in. So that is it.
Job done.
Job done, mate. Romeo done. So, I think you're going to sit in the corner and I'm going to be like Mike Brewer on Wheeler Dealers and get shown how to strip a fork leg.
Happy days.
So, right, let's get straight
into it. So, what are we doing, Rick?
Well, I was silly. So the top clamps are what hold the spring. Sorry, the top caps are what hold the spring. So obviously when it's in the bike, what you would normally do is it's supported by the triple clamp and you would undo these or crack them before you undid the top clamp because that's what supports them. And in my haste to take the bike apart, I've got to undo them. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a clip on back on the top so Rick can hold and then we can undo it. So we're trying to undo the top caps at the minute. So if you do take your suspension off to send it away, crack them first. See, I'd never thought of that. I would put the bike back together.
Yeah,
so there's obviously a man who's done this before.
Yeah, once or twice. And if you clamp it like further down with the cap, because otherwise it will squash on.
I'll squash the threads.
Yeah.
So what are the worst ones to do then, fork legs?
Um,
You can say R1, aren't
nah, they're quite nice to do. I haven't say anything electronic.
they? Are they?
BMWs and stuff like
Right,
that.
okay.
Once you take all that out, they're always just as easy each other.
Yeah, yeah. How much crap is at the bottom of there, look, you see?
Ew.
A road bike with not a lot of miles on it as well. You think in a racing environment or track environment as well, the use is so much more aggressive than a road.
Yep.
Right, so that's dust seal popped out at first. Then there's a retaining clip underneath that holds the seal in. So like if you look at some of the superbikes downstairs, they haven't got dust seals. They just run the seal because of course you try and keep that to drop the stiction down out of it. So then inside the damper is obviously the damping rod, but if you look here, then you've got your dust seal and your retaining clip, your seal, your support washer that supports the seal, and then your top and bottom bushings. So they take out the play of the stanchion to the fork leg when it's...
Yep.
I'm dirty, I've put gloves on.
Oh, mate.
So in standard road forks, look, you got compression, rebound and preload in both legs. So it's got both adjusters. So that makes these slightly more complicated in how the adjustment works in the top and what it does. Whereas when we go to the KTech now, one will be rebound and one will be compression. So they've only got one set of valves in each. So that makes the makeup of the valving system a lot easier, a lot simpler. But then you can get greater control because you can fit more gubbins in one leg than you can in these. And then obviously both have to have preload, and you'd always have preload balanced. So you'd keep it the same on both fork legs. So what you might find on some is, we'd run like a 9.5, you'd never go more than half a step, but you run like a 9.5 spring in one leg and a 10 spring in the other to get a combined of 9.75. And then those are the damping rods then inside each. So you can feel, like that one's obviously, that's doing both, look. That's compression and rebound.
Milking a cow, look.
Yeah, and that'll be exactly the same. Whereas when we put the new ones in, yeah, so you can see it's pushing past, look. So when we put the new ones in, one will be forceful to compress and one will be forceful to rebound. So it's grub screwing the butt, so now we've got to take the stanchion off the bottom of the fork leg. Bit of a heat gun for a little while, just to expand the foot, and then obviously with the KTech tool then you can wind it out. But what you don't want is it picking up and dragging all the threads out. So that's why you sort of take your time at this bit. But you can see down in there, Dad, like, look at the state of it, mate.
You.
Can you see? You can see the line there at the bottom where it was shrouded in the foot, and then all that corrosion down past it.
Yep. The camera decides to focus. There we go.
Damper cartridge, and you see all the black crap that's come out with it. We double checked mileage. I didn't think the mileage was that high. It was like 5,000 miles, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
So 5,000
Goes
miles.
to show.
What's that? 6-year-old bike, and road bikes never get their suspension serviced.
Wow.
So the red tool in his hand, that's what I've got for like changing springs on mine.
Okay.
So you've got a special spanner to hold the top of the, we'll show you now when it goes back together, to hold it, and you spin the top cap off, and you put the holder in to pull up the damping rod so you can pull the spanner back out, and then you can slide the spring off. So when the damping rod goes back in, the spring then goes over the top, so the spring will seat down on here. So these are the standard ones. Yeah. And then that will sit. Whoops. Made a mess. Like that.
Yep.
And then when you compress it all down, then the damping rod comes up through the top, and the top cap sits on it. So that we won't use that, the spring. I'm sure we use those, and then we use the top caps as well. So new seals in it.
Just wild with the.
Clean all the rust off it.
Yep.
So literally now, look, got to clean all the corrosion out of the threads. You can see the difference now. Look, you can, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and what can happen over time is that can start to then bleed up the shock. So when you start to see corrosion coming up through the stanchion, bleeding up past the foot, that's why, because it's got in at the bottom.
And I guess that's game over then, is it?
Yeah, I mean, even that, like if that was my bike,
Yeah.
I'd want a new one of these. So now we're going to measure tubes for straightness. And it's going to break my heart, isn't it?
Place your bets.
Yeah. What's that? Was it 0.01 mil gauge?
Yeah.
So yeah, was it 0.03?
Yeah, that sound.
Where would you sort of start to say, Rick, you need a new one? When it's doing that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. If the bent, they're sort of
Obvious.
Yeah, obviously bent. If it's just.
So we got the new bottom in. So obviously, like I said, the valve and assembly screws out the bottom cap. So then we've cleaned the threads up, cleaned the fork bottom up, and then we just screw it back in. But the difference on a race bike, like say they use for like FGR Ohlins forks or something, you see where you've got like the brackets for the, you've got a bracket for obviously the caliper, the bracket for the fender guard,
Yep.
On the one of them, you've got the bracket for the wheel speed sensor. On the top Öhlins race stuff, like the full FGR fork, none of that, that's all separate. So if you write the fork leg off, like if we have a little crash and snap the fender mount off, mate, it's scrap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like when you start getting to the race level stuff, then it's a different mentality.
Sure.
So we're back where we started, just with a different bottom in. Oh, they're trick as they are.
Easy as that.
It's got tall envy again.
I know. I want them and I don't even do fork seals. So this is a special tool end to screw the cartridge in?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So it locks onto
Yeah.
this part, so. Sometimes these, especially the rebound, can be
Like,
nightmare to get started bleeding.
yeah.
So then we just put your hand over the top of it, and it like, sort of vacuums and sucks
Yeah, right, okay. Tricks of the trade, mate. Yeah, I suppose that's a trick now, isn't it? Making sure it's all bled properly
Yeah.
before you set the height, because it's...
Otherwise it'll bleed itself whilst you're rolling it.
Yeah.
And then your air level will drop.
You
There
see
you
a
go.
difference now just by...
Yeah.
So that's rebound leg then?
Yeah.
So you see the difficulty pulling up, but it falls away. So then the other leg will be the other way, it'll fall up. So this is now how we set oil height.
Yep.
So then fork springs. So all KTech stuff is the same. And then I don't know whether you can see, Dav. You see 95 on the top. So that's what we look for. So place that up, drop them in, and then you can. That's how you then change spring weights. Then so like if we put a 10 in the other leg, we got 9.75.
Okay.
So you'd never go more than half a step difference. Normally, you know, if you wanted 9.5, you wouldn't run a 9 and a 10.
Yeah.
You'd run 2 9.5s. So yeah, but to get that midway, then yeah, 9.5 and a 10 are getting 9.75. So 1 9.5, and I think he's just digging through the spring box for another one. So then that's the part then I'm more used to. So the spanner and the damper rod puller. Romeo done.
Yep.
See it still rising? So that's the rebound control end. So say under braking, you obviously brake and you force the bike onto the fork. And then that's it still coming back then, I can feel it.
Yeah.
So if we then go all the way the other way. So that was rebound closed off. And we open it all the way up, which you never ever would. You can even hear out. So for me, rebound when I was riding was always way more critical. And I would probably say all good riders would say the same. Rebound, you feel rebound more because as you're letting a brake off,
Yep.
if you've got no rebound control, it feels like the bike jumps up at you. And if you've got too much on, it just holds in and you just struggle to get it right onto the apex. So rebound, you can kind of ride around compression and you can kind of ride around preload, but if rebound's all over the place, yeah, it'll feel awful. That's it. KTech, mate.
Good job.
Done.
Let's have a look at the end.
I don't know which way you are up.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
So, no worries.
Josh will be chuffed, mate. So we've got another one to do, but it's the same as that, so no point doing it twice.
Lovely job. We're getting there.
That's tea time, mate.
Happy days.
Right. Gonna have a wander, see if we can nick some bits.